I'm being honest, I don't really get it. It's tough for me to say that because I don't want to be judgmental. Because, firstly, being judgmental is shitty. Kind of makes you an asshole. The whole who am I to judge? But also, like, logically, I don't want to be judgmental because who am I to say, literally, that I know better? That what I think is actually what it is. There's such an arrogance in that I just can't get my head around. But if I'm being honest, I do have that sensation. When I look at some parents, I wonder, how could you not focus more on some of these things for your kids? How have we, and again, I mean this quite genuinely. I don't mean it in a like, how could you? There's no judgment in it. There's no suggestion or implication that it's a problem. But I just don't see it yet. I just don't fully understand it. How we allow our kids to spend their time, what they do, whether that be playing video games or staring at a phone or piano lessons or travel soccer, right? Whatever it is. I find myself confused why some of the things that I think are so critical to just making us healthy, well-adjusted, balanced human beings, prepared to live in the world and have some joy and bring some goodness into the world, it confuses me. Even on a more practical level, which I would argue that stuff is all very practical. It's actually the most important, most practical stuff there is. But even if you think more in terms of what's going to be useful to them day to day, the skills they require to be able to thrive as an adult, make money for themselves, have a job that they care about and enjoy, be a good family person, be good to their friends, contribute in some meaningful way to society, all those things, you can practice them. You can build muscle and habit, obviously, for those things. And I don't understand why that's not more of a focus. Why are we so willing to send them to piano lessons? Not to pick on piano lessons. Piano's awesome. I think it's an amazing thing. There's tons of benefits from it. But what makes us choose, that's worthy for me to send my kid to. The before school science program, yes, that definitely. To play outside and play soccer with his friends, absolutely. All these things that we dedicate time towards, how are we actually choosing that? How are we making that decision? Is it deliberate? Because if it was, I wonder how we're not squeezing more time in for some of these other things. It has to be, there has to be some part of it, some part of it's definitely, we just, inertia. That's just how it's done. That's what everybody else is doing, right? That's absolutely a part of it. But I think there's another part of it which is maybe arrogant of us as humanity. It assumes that we know how to do that. Either we just know it implicitly and we don't need to be taught it, or as parents, we assume like they're getting it. Like I'm showing them when I talk to them, when I teach them things, when they observe my behavior, they're getting it. I don't think they're getting it. And I say it to myself as much as I say it to anybody else. I don't think we should assume we're as good at this as we should be, that we have this skill as much as we think we do, that it's as easy to instill it in kids as we think it is. I think it takes effort. I think it takes work. I think it takes time. It takes repetition. It takes practice. And it doesn't seem as if we appreciate that enough. There's too much ugliness still in the world, in whatever form that is, right? Bullying, sure. Violence, sure. Suffering, sure. Insecurity, all the things that are negative for us, that stop us from being, not to sound corny, but the best version of ourselves. All of those things. We see so much of it in the world. So much that's driven by an inability to actually understand ourselves, try and make sense of the world around us, and take actions that we can actually feel good and proud of. there's not enough of that. And we see the negatives. And it's confusing to me why we're not doing more to address it. Why, on a very basic level, we don't understand that if we are willing to send our kid to a soccer trainer or a travel soccer team and year-round soccer team or soccer camp or whatever it is, implicit in that is an assumption that, sure, we could play soccer in the backyard. I could play, videos of soccer matches. He could watch that. He could play with his friends. He could do all those things. But if I actually want him to be really good at this, and for whatever reason, no judgment, it's important that he is good at it, I need to send him for like real formal practice and training. Why would it not be the same thing when it comes to these life skills, these ability to think skills? The ability to understand the world, question the world, control your emotion, all these things that are so valuable. Why would we assume they would just happen? It's an interesting question.